Hey everyone, welcome back to I think episode 7 of the DGGA Collectors Corner podcast. I'm Preston. I'm typically joined by Patrick. For those of you, maybe this is your first episode, or maybe you just didn't catch it in our earlier episodes, but Patrick's actually a firefighter for a city up near Dallas, Cedar Hill. He's a firefighter in the department up there, and due to some wildfires up just north of Texas, I'd say up north, but I quite southern for probably most of you. But above Dallas, his department actually got called up to go and spend a week or two fighting wildfires and helping out in the areas affected by that. So he is actually out, saving the critters in the trees and people, doing big hero things up north of Dallas. So I'm all alone today, but with so much collector news happening. He texted me and said, dude, don't wait till I get back. We've got to get some content out about this. This is crazy. So welcome to an abridged version of the Collector's Corner. Obviously, there won't be disc wars. I'll be postponing Dopest Disc and giving away more discs until Patrick is back. But for right now, I'm here. Hopefully, you guys, you're either joining me live or maybe you'll be watching this post. And we will have a chance to talk about the crazy things that have happened in the collector's market in just the last week or two since we last spoke. So, just quick spiel. If you're new, if you're just stumbling upon this, maybe with the World's hype, maybe with the Sexton drop hype, and you're finding out about the Collector's Corner podcast, we are the Disc Golf Grading Authority, and like the name would imply, we grade disc golf discs. So we offer objective and sealed third-party grading of disc golf collectors' disc based on their true, their rim, their stamp, and their flight plate. And we assign them, sub-scores and then a total score, and then they get sealed up in these polycarb boxes. The disc can't fall out or anything, and then we'll ship it back to you. So you can go to discgolfgradingauthority.com if you're interested in getting that done. But here on the podcast, we like to just talk about what's happening in the collector's market of disc golf, what happened recently and what's happening over time. So one of the things we started in our last episode is we started tracking the price of 2015 and 2016 Sextons. So, that's not where that should be. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Get that moved. But yeah, so we started tracking the price of 2015 and 2016 Sextons, as you can see right here. I'm not sure why this resized on me, but so we started on the 6th, so it's been about a month, and right now prices are pretty steady but a little low. This shouldn't be a surprise if you are if you're part of that Nate Sexton hype market. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple weeks. Obviously, the 2023 Sextons just dropped, which is very exciting, and we'll be talking a little bit about that here in a second, more in detail. But it could have some implications. I'd expect that it drives more people to the page. So what I see anecdotally each year is that when the new year of Sextons drop, a lot of players who maybe wouldn't consider themselves Nate Sexton Firebird Destroyer or Firebird collectors grab a bunch of them and decide they want to resell them, and so then they make their way on over to collectors pages on Facebook, and that'll drive up the price, right? That'll help increase the demand, and so you'll start seeing prices go up as people like Patrick, who started recently trying to get a full set of 15 of Sextons, will need a 15 and a 16, which are the highest prices and the hardest to acquire. So nothing really of note there. I've found some steals and some deals. So if you're looking, don't get discouraged. They're out there. That 2016 you can see on there that I found this last week below $200 is a great deal. And then you can find 2015s right now for right around $650 pretty consistently every week, which is also a great deal with past history. So nothing shocking, but I am looking for those 2015s and 2016s to slightly go up in price as people are starting to try and as the hype builds with the release of the 2015. Excuse me, the release of the 2023. Can't talk today. So, speaking of the 2023 release, it dropped. And it is exactly what I had predicted on earlier episodes and what lots of the community had predicted. It is a glow Halo Sexton Firebird. Man, that name's going to get long. It's a glow Halo Champion Firebird Nate Sexton Tour Series disc, right? But it's just the 2023 Sexton Firebird. So pros and cons, let's chat for a second. If you are watching this later, go ahead and drop a comment. I'll go back and read them. What are your thoughts? There are some strong opinions out there right now regarding the Sextons, the 2023s. There are every year, and it seems like, you know, people will always find something to complain about. Usually it's, oh, they're too stable, or they made too many, or more often than not, they're not stable enough. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to give you mine right now. So the 2023 Sexton, I love that it's Halo. I think that's awesome. I think it's a cool way to bring the Sexton Firebird and kind of merge it with the modern Innova market, right? That's the way we're seeing their Tour Series discs go. It's cool that they're keeping Nate's Firebird kind of modern with the Tour Series discs. I love the stamp. I think the stamp is awesome. It's one of the better stamps in my opinion in the last 3 years. I really like it. I like the racing stripes across the word Firebird. Just a really cool stamp overall. The one thing that bugs me about it is the colors. So we'll click through a couple of these. This one's close. This one is close to what I would consider classic Sexton colorways. So we've got that baby blue in the background. We've got a rainbow stamp. Very, very classic Sexton Firebird there. And then the pink halo is also cool. So if maybe you're not quite on the Sexton hype train, in years past, the Sextons have always been like this color, seafoam green or blue. And then there's also been pink ones. And the pink ones don't usually stay pink because they're glow pink. They usually white out over time and in the sun. But you can get some blue with swirls, and you can get... they'll call them like fire breathing and ice breathing Sextons, where there's blue swirls or pink swirls coming out of the mouth of the Phoenix. So some really cool stuff with the blue and pink. And so this one in particular, I think will sell really well on the market, just because it will appeal to more of those hardcore Sexton collectors. It'll fit your collection better, right? If you have all the Sextons hanging on the wall and then you throw in, let's say, a purple one, it's just not gonna look as good in my opinion. But you'll notice most of the discs they posted are either pink or blue, and then this weird purple, which is kind of a mix. So I'm glad that they're keeping pretty close to the colorway. I did notice that in their pictures here, there's not like a red shatter, which is also one of those iconic Nate Sexton disc things, right? It's one of those iconic things you're looking for in a Sexton collection. Is there are people who do all the shatter stamps. Now in the last year or so, they did a big release with tons of Sexton Firebirds so that lots of people could get their hands on them and bag them. And then they did a limited run of the shatter stamps. So keep an eye out. That might be what's happening here. We might not see that in the pictures now, because they might be coming out with like a t-shirt combo or a hat combo like they've done in the last couple years, where you do get the shatter stamp only in that circumstance. Other stamps that you're missing, are you a big fan of the Rasta or the Pearl White? Go ahead and drop them in the comments. Let me know which Sexton stamps you're missing, or maybe you just love it. Maybe you love everything about this drop and you have no regrets. Were you able to grab one? They sold out real quick. I was at work and didn't see the posts and didn't see the page until 30 minutes after they had started selling, and they were already sold out. So a little bit bummed. Pure speculation. I don't think that'll be the only drop. Like I said, I think there will be some limited drops coming up, but definitely think that there will be more drops to come of the 2023 Sexton Firebirds. And thank goodness that the April Fool's disc was not the only one. Hey, Britt, thanks. Yeah, how hype would it be in chat right now, though? So Brittany is my wife, for those of you who, well, all of you hopefully probably don't know that, but would have been hilarious if she just posted in the chat and was like, oh yeah, I grabbed one. Surprise. But no, yeah, not shocking. All right, so other discs that dropped kind of unexpectedly in the last week, the Simon line. Man alive, I am beyond hyped. So Simon Lizotte with MVP dropped his newest line of discs. So he put out a whole video. Please go watch it on YouTube, explaining the difference between like why he's calling it the Simon, why MVP is calling it the Simon line and not just Simon Lizotte Tour Series. It's a whole line of discs. He's designing the molds. He's working on them. This is the first 12, so many things. This is the first 12 speed for MVP. Big deal. It's Simon's. It's the dopest branding that I think we've seen out of a company in a few years. Simon Lizotte, renowned for the Simon line. So throwing those shots that no one else can throw, picking the lines that no one else even looks for because they're not possible if you don't have the 650 feet distance that man has. Sick stamp, like absolutely beautiful. It's got like the Adidas stripes. I want one of these first runs so bad. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me know if you disagree. I don't think anyone will. And then the marble gyro rim that they've got on in this picture is just absolutely beautiful. So, like I said, go check out Simon's full video. He's got like a 15-minute video introducing the Simon line and talking about what you can expect from them. But the first disc that they've released is this 12-speed time-lapse. Kind of a classic flight numbers, right? 12.5, -1.3, Destroyer, or I mean the Macbeth, Force or whatever. Everyone needs one of these discs. I've been amazed that MVP waited so long to put out these Destroyer numbers, but here they are. So really excited to see that out of MVP and Simon. As far as collectability goes, I don't think they're going to be worth a ton. I hope they won't be worth a ton. I hope they mass produce this first run. Simon is known for selling a ton of plastic, right? I mean, he is one of the top paid pros in the sport, and that's because he hits the trifecta, right? He's got a great social media presence, he wins, and he sells a lot of plastic. And so I'm hoping that they're ready. MVP, burst onto the scene and really sold a ton of plastic, obviously with Conrad with the Holy Shot. And now they've acquired Simon, one of the biggest plastic movers in the game. And now they're starting this new line. They'll have first runs. They'll have prototypes. Who knows? They could have some winter editions. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But really, really excited to see the time-lapse come out from MVP. The Simon line in particular. This is going to be a whole new run of collector's discs. In the comments, if you are a Simon Lizotte collector, right? So if you've been like a Discmania collector before, collecting all the Simon discs, he's got several that hit that triple-digit price point. And you are you now an MVP Simon collector, or are you holding out for like the Eagle McMahon Discmania lines? Where does your allegiance lie as a collector? I imagine that everyone will move over with Simon and be buying these as well. But really, really exciting to see this drop, or at least the announcement. I'm not sure when it will be officially for sale. Right now, it doesn't have a buy it button, but soon enough. Yeah, some questions in the chat. So this is Neutron Plastic. And then Axiom is a sub-company of MVP here. So it's going to be Axiom producing the time-lapse is the name of the disc, and then it's Neutron Plastic, and then it's the Simon line. So again, a lot like the Sexton Firebird, right? There's like 6 names here to differentiate. And then in addition, you can have the first run and the first run prototype, which is why collecting in the disc golf market can get a bit anecdotal, as it were. Hard to keep track of really what kind of precise disc and mold and model and run and release and tour series you have. We're going to keep it pretty brief tonight because it's just me, but moving on, there's one more big thing I want to talk about with you guys. Britt, they do have proton plastic. They have a whole science thing going. They're quite thematic. They do a really good job. Let's talk about Worlds. We're not going to talk about Worlds like everyone else did. Please go check out. I mean, there's tons of podcasts you can watch. Personally, I watch a lot of the Foundation stuff. There's like 4 Foundation podcasts all about World predictions. Tour Life did a great job. Debate night was crazy. So go check those out, right? But I've kind of gathered up the general predictions, whether they're, hot takes or they are, or if they're like, hey, that's a pretty good bet, the solid bets or the risky bets, all here onto one little page so that we can talk about what would that mean from a collector standpoint. So let's start with the GOAT, Mr. Macbeth himself, Paul Macbeth, right? Every year, Paul Macbeth rocks the collector market when he goes to Worlds, right? So the 4 clause, why are they money? Because he won Worlds. The 5 clause, the 6 clause, why are they money? Because he won Worlds again, right? Every time people think he's out, he wins World again, and he drops a whole nother line of collectible discs. So obviously, if Macbeth wins, we'd be anticipating a 7 claw. Who knows what that would look like? The stamp would be crazy. I'm sure they'd be commemorative sets. And not to be a doubter, but you've got to be thinking with how his seasons are going and realistically just with how good the field is getting, that every year that he wins Worlds, you've got to wonder if it's the last year. And that last year, those first run claw discs are going to be higher in value, right? So if he wins 7-time World now and then that's it, then those 7 claws are going to be of higher value, in my opinion, than the 6 claws, right? So something to look out for is, can Paul Macbeth win? If he does win, what are the implications there? But definitely, I think that'll be a for sure bump in the collector's market, right? All of your discs that are Macbeth themed will go up in value a little bit. They'll have an uptick after Worlds, and then Discraft will be able to just flood the market with first run Paul Macbeth 7-time world champ discs. Would be crazy. I apologize for missing Ricky on here, right? Ricky, 2 times world champ. If he wins 3rd, frankly, I don't think it'll have a huge impact. Ricky is a phenomenal player and does sell some plastic. But in my opinion, he doesn't have a strong collector disc presence, right? You've got like the 2-time you've got the 2-time like Sakibot destroyers. You've got, he's got the Saki slammers. But frankly, if he wins Worlds, I don't think it's going to make a huge dent in the collector's market. It would be really cool. I'll be super hyped for Ricky as a fan. But as a collector, I'm not going to like start prepping, I'm not going to ready the checking account. On the flip side, we've already talked a little bit about Simon and how good he is at moving plastic, what a big presence he has. If Simon wins Worlds right after the release or the announcement of the Simon line, it'd be just phenomenal. Would be super, super cool, right? Like, then not only could you get the Simon line Axiom time lapse first run, but you could get the first run and like 1-time world champion Simon Lizotte. Would be absolutely incredible. And he's got a pretty good shot. So as far as like the very top impact on the collector's market, I do think Simon has a bit more potential impact here than a 7-time for Macbeth would have. Just a little bit, right? I think their ability to move plastic is pretty on par, honestly. But those are our top 2. Calvin Heimberg. One of my favorite players. He's been having a phenomenal season, right? We've all been watching him. He's winning all the freaking time. Or at least, putting himself in contention all the freaking time. He's got plenty of wins. I'm not one of these people that thinks he can't win Worlds. I think, he's had a couple tough finishes lately, but they're only tough because he didn't get first place. Like that's a crazy standard. He's had such a good season that's where it's at. So, if he did win, what kind of impact would we see on the collector's side? So I would love for him to win because I think it would kind of start his collector's market journey. Innova, in my opinion, has a lot of their eggs in the Calvin Heimberg basket right now. They've lost a lot of good players in the last couple of years. Obviously, they've still got some plastic movers like Nate Sexton and Jeremy Coling with the Thunderbirds, and now these Halo bosses coming out. But frankly, Calvin is their top performing player that's out there, and if he could take down a Worlds and they could convert that into some kind of collectible disc, it could allow them to move a ton of plastic. So if he does win, even though he doesn't have a really well-established collector's presence. I mean, I've got a couple of his discs that I would consider collector's discs that are up there in the like $60, $70 range, some cool first-run Halo Destroyers. But honestly, I think a World's Win it would be what he needs to kind of start that collector's disc movement. So really exciting for Calvin. Chris Dickerson. I'm rocking the Robot Chicken shirt that came with the Robot Chicken collector's box right now. So, you know, he's got a shot at winning. He does well at these courses. If he wins, I think he's kind of right over there with Calvin Heimberg. Collector's market, a little bit above, right? So he's got the Robot Chicken thing going for him. He's already got an established collector's line. He's been able to sell them pretty well. It's not like they sell out crazy fast or insanely limited, but a World's Win would give his market that boost, right? Let's see. Paul Ulibarri. Uli, it would be awesome if he won. He's got a huge fan base. I loved his confidence in one of the podcasts he puts on. I think it was Tour Life. He was talking about the fact that he could win. He feels like he's got a chance. He does well at these courses. It would be an incredible kind of showcase for his season. I think I look at a Yuli win from a collector's point of view like I look at a Macbeth win, where part of the value comes because I think, frankly, if Yuli won Worlds this year, it would be the only time I'd expect him to win Worlds, honestly. Unless you know, he's been doing really well at the end of the season. If that just keeps going, you know, prove me wrong, throw it in the chains right in my face, that'd be great. Big putt me. But honestly, I think I'd be picking up a couple of them if Yuli won Worlds more than, you know, a Gannon or a Calvin, because I expect Gannon and Calvin to keep having shots at winning Worlds. With Yuli, with how good the field's getting and just where he's at in his career, I would expect this to be kind of the crowning achievement. And so I wouldn't expect, you know, 2-time, 3-time, 4-time Yuli discs coming out. So I think that would be huge. You know, he's already got his Captain's Raptors out there that are collectors and more limited first run cap wraps. So I think it'd be up there with the Chris Dickersons with that Robot Chicken kind of mantra. 3 more. Gannon Burr. Okay, Gannon Burr obviously having a phenomenal season, in the talks for MVP of the year. Honestly, I don't know what's holding Gannon back from having a big collector presence. In my opinion, it's not there at all. I don't know if it's because he's Prodigy. I don't know if he's doesn't have a collector's presence because he doesn't care about one, or if that's part of the issues he was having with Prodigy. I mean, frankly, the collector's market doesn't really benefit the players as much, right? When we see these 2015 Sextons going for $1,000, Nate doesn't see any of that. Obviously, he sees a ton of money when the 2023s drop and he sells out in 10 seconds. But, you know, having huge resale value, making them super limited and collectible doesn't, you know, there's not a large incentive for the player or even the manufacturer. So I don't know what it is that's keeping Gannon from having a big collector presence, but in my opinion, he doesn't have one. I picked up one of his rookie discs just randomly. They were still available like 4 months after that, Rookie of the Year discs. He might win MVP this year, and maybe I'll pick up one of those. But I'm picking him up just thinking like a Michael Jordan rookie card or something, right? Like I'm hoping that if I pick these up because I think he's got a huge career ahead of him, that eventually there'll be money. Those will be cool discs to have in the collection 10 years from now. But in the short term, I think if he won Worlds, it would be awesome. I'd probably buy one, in my opinion. All right, Isaac Robinson got a good chance at winning Worlds, kind of similar to Gannon Burr, right? Also on Prodigy, I think. Maybe that's why they're so similar. But if he won, that would be cool. It would be awesome. Would love to see it. I think he deserves it. I think he's done a great job this year. These courses play to his strength. But frankly, I'd buy one of his discs, maybe 2 if I wanted to try bagging one. And then I'd just wait and see if, you know, eventually it becomes a cool collector's piece. It'd go in a bag on the shelf. It's not one I'd get graded immediately. Yeah. Last, but in my heart not least, Matty O. I really want a win for Matty O. I went and talked to him when he came to Waco, and I told him, I said, Matty O, fantasy disc golf, I'm picking you like every time. Let's get that dub. He told me wait for the weather to warm up. It is plenty hot, Matteo. It is plenty friggin' hot. It's your time, buddy. I think Matteo, I think if he won Worlds, I think it'd go crazy. I think he'd be up there, even though he doesn't have a big collector's market right now. The fact that, I mean, just the storyline behind Matteo doing so well for decades and not being able to take down an Elite Series win and then winning Worlds just straight off. I mean, you give me a disc that says Roll Tide Matteo 2023 World Champion, I will buy 5 of them, 6 of them, 7 of them. I'll get as many as I can get on the drop. Just absolutely insane. Would go bananas. I don't know if that is a shared sentiment. Let me know in the comments. Is that just because I'm a big Matteo fan? Is everyone waiting for him to take it down? He's been in the game for so long. He's such a likable guy. He's such a character, right? Like, you can't watch a round that he's in and not know who he is after. The clothes, the attitude, the first downs, right? I mean, he's a personality. So really, really excited to see if he could pull it off. I'm not putting any money on Matteo, but if he did win, I'll save the money. I won't bet it on Matteo, but if he won, I'd be throwing it into his discs. So, okay, that's it for my Worlds predictions as far as collector's market goes. Hopefully you had a good time watching the first round of Worlds tonight. If you're watching this after Worlds is over, my goodness, who won? Was I right? Did the collector's market react the way that I thought it would? 2020, okay, hindsight. Don't roast me in the comments for being wrong. If you're watching this after Worlds, that's cheating. So just deal with it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for coming on a solo Collector's Corner adventure with me. Obviously, thoughts and prayers for Patrick and all the other firefighters that are dealing with the crazy wildfires and stuff with this weather. Hopefully, it's hot enough for Matty Dio to win. That'd be awesome. But, oh my goodness, my wife's going to throw in a Worlds prediction. If it's not Calvin, I don't know who she's voting for. She's watched a few rounds with me. She's not an avid disc golf watcher, but big fan of Calvin Hamburg. He's got the hair. He's got the attitude. He doesn't have the hair anymore, but he's a lot of fun to watch. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go to discgolfgradingauthority.com. You can get your disc graded. Send them on in. And yeah, hope you have a good time watching Worlds, and I hope that you can get the drops for the Simon Line.